I mean, what's one more year of multi-million-dollar losses? I thought Angel Reese was the star of stars, the icon of icons. That's what the mainstream media keeps telling me. Headline at Forbes from last month: how Angel Reese and A'ja Wilson are leading the WNBA's growth.
Angel Reese just discovered that a Nebraska cable access chess tournament pulled in more viewers than her WNBA game, and she reportedly did not take the news well. Her ratings performance looked painfully quiet, almost like a silent dance playing on mute, while Caitlin Clark continued smashing television records like the Beyoncé of basketball. Fans everywhere started changing the channel, and the contrast became impossible to ignore. What exactly caused such a dramatic difference in attention? Why has America become so locked in on Clark while other stars struggle to hold viewers? This is not being viewed as just another bad ratings night. It feels more like a full-blown slow-motion collapse unfolding in public. So buckle up, because this story is turning into a popcorn-worthy spectacle from start to finish.
You've got a basketball player, you got a celebrity that, or somebody that thinks she's a celebrity, that happens to be a basketball player. All right, but she's not celebrity enough to actually pack in the stands. And guys, there is some ugly numbers.
The only people reportedly watching were a few arena janitors, 2 birds trapped in the rafters, and a confused popcorn vendor who thought he had accidentally walked into a monster truck rally. Angel Reese stepped onto the WNBA preseason court carrying herself like Beyoncé headlining Coachella, expecting a massive spotlight and nonstop attention. But in a sports world where visibility is everything, Reese somehow became almost completely invisible, not figuratively but literally, because hardly anyone seemed to be watching. The atmosphere felt painfully quiet, with the lack of national attention becoming impossible to ignore as the game unfolded in front of nearly empty hype and fading excitement.
Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I thought Angel Reese was responsible for elevating the WNBA dump. I thought Angel Reese was responsible for taking the dump and turning it into an unmonetizable turd. Now, to her credit, it is a nicely polished turd. It almost looks appealing. Almost. Of course, it's still not appealing enough to generate profit, but I guess the WNBA is taking baby steps.
The Chicago Sky preseason matchup against Brazil's national team at LSU was supposed to feel like the first stop on a massive comeback tour. With Brazil's flashy style, Angel Reese returning to her college fan base, and all the hype surrounding her star power, many expected a packed event and huge television numbers. Instead, the ratings reportedly landed with a thud. The audience turnout was so weak it made dial-up internet look fast by comparison. Jokes immediately flooded social media claiming that paint-drying contests could have pulled more viewers, while even NASA's Mars rover footage supposedly generated more public interest that day. At one point, it felt like a bouncing DVD screensaver might have delivered more suspense and excitement than the actual broadcast itself.
Of you who tell us, oh my god, what a big superstar, oh my god, transcendent, oh my goodness, generational, oh my goodness, so on and so forth. You guys do all the talking, all the yapping, Twitter fingers turn to can't even show up and buy ticket fingers.
The second preseason matchup, featuring the Minnesota Lynx against the Chicago Sky, was supposed to be Angel Reese's big look at me now moment. The game where the spotlight finally returned and the hype matched the expectations. Instead, the atmosphere reportedly felt more like, please look at me, does anybody even notice? During warm-ups, the arena energy seemed so flat you could joke that even the pigeons flying overhead lost interest and left early. Reese appeared ready for a dramatic breakout filled with excitement, noise, and celebration, but what followed felt painfully quiet. Instead of roaring crowds and non-stop buzz, there were crickets, scattered reactions online, and one bored blogger live-tweeting from a Wendy's. By the end, even the scoreboard looked like it wanted the game to hurry up and finish.
Look, one of the biggest stories to come out of this game is you're playing one of the considered to be top 4 teams in the league, the Minnesota Lynx, and nobody showed up to watch this game. All right? Again, 5 million Instagram followers do not equate to basketball fans.
The atmosphere inside the arena looked almost surreal, like a scene pulled straight out of a horror movie. As the cameras slowly scanned across the stands, endless rows of empty seats echoed through the building like an abandoned ghost town. Somewhere behind the scenes, you could imagine a nervous network executive staring at the Nielsen ratings and quietly Googling how to disappear forever. But according to the dramatic narrative surrounding the situation, Angel Reese did not respond with calm acceptance or quiet professionalism. Instead, the reaction reportedly spiraled into full-blown frustration. Not the kind of anger that legendary athletes like Michael Jordan used as fuel to become greater, but a chaotic, reality TV-style meltdown filled with cryptic emojis, passive-aggressive social media posts, and enough tension to power an entire season of the Real Housewives franchise.
It's time to finally, end the argument. End the argument that there is any sort of, other needle mover that is even remotely close to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. And, again, the reason why we've got Hailey Van Lith up is because it was Hailey Van Lith's return as well as Angel Reese's return.
Ironically, Angel Reese was not even terrible on the court. Statistically, she looked solid, stayed active defensively, controlled her positioning well, and even delivered a few moments that, on a slower sports day, easily could have landed on an ESPN highlight reel. But none of it seemed to matter, because the attention was somewhere else entirely. In today's sports culture, performance alone is no longer enough if the cameras are not locked onto you and the internet is not exploding with clips, memes, and viral reactions. Reese could block a shot in front of a nearly empty arena, but without social media buzz, the moment vanished instantly into silence. There were no screaming headlines, no trending highlights, and no massive online reaction pushing the performance into the spotlight. Her exhausted PR team reportedly kept grinding away online, desperately searching for something redeemable to ignite conversation, while the internet moved on without blinking. That is the brutal reality of the modern digital era. Sometimes it is not about how well you play, but whether your moment can become a viral GIF, a meme, or a trending clip in real time. In a world driven by 4K highlight reels and non-stop social media attention, the harshest kind of irrelevance is not failure, it is invisibility.
A real big game. Y'all talk a real big game. Y'all tell us just how amazing Angel Reese is. Y'all tell us how y'all ride or die with Angel Reese. And you know what? This ain't on Angel Reese. This isn't even about Angel Reese. It's about y'all.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was setting the sports world on fire like she had unlocked some basketball superpower in a parallel universe where everyone suddenly became obsessed with women's basketball. While other preseason games struggled for attention, the Indiana Fever exhibition matchup exploded with record-breaking interest. Clark did not just appear, she completely took over the spotlight. Her games became must-watch television for everybody. NBA executives, casual fans, families at home, random sports viewers, and even people who barely knew what the WNBA was before her arrival. The energy surrounding her felt electric, almost like a viral meme brought to life. Except instead of collecting likes online, she was drilling deep three-pointers and delivering highlight moments nonstop. At the same time, Angel Reese struggled to capture that same level of excitement. Her big opportunity arrived with far less buzz, and the contrast between the two stars became impossible to ignore. Reese had flashes of personality and moments of trash talk, but they were quickly overshadowed by the non-stop spectacle surrounding Clark's performances. While Clark seemed to command the sports world's full attention with every shot and headline, Reese's moment felt quieter, flatter, and far less impactful, turning what was supposed to be a breakthrough showcase into what many viewed as a massive missed opportunity.
ESPN featured Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Felines against the best AAU team from Brazil. The Roo from Waterloo drew 1.3 million viewers, which was a 13% increase over the WNBA's regular season average on ESPN last year. Viewership also exceeded ratings for Game 1 of the WNBA Finals.
ESPN has reportedly struggled to keep pace with the non-stop attention surrounding Caitlin Clark, whose rise has started to feel less like a normal rookie season and more like a full-blown cinematic universe. Every game, interview, and highlight seems to explode across social media within minutes, forcing networks and digital platforms to pour even more resources into covering the overwhelming demand. Clark's presence has become so massive that even the smallest moments around her instantly trend online, turning her into the center of the sports conversation almost every night. Meanwhile, critics claim that Angel Reese has struggled to generate the same level of excitement despite constant claims about changing the game. Her supporters continue defending the disappointing ratings by blaming television promotion, scheduling, and network decisions rather than the lack of organic buzz surrounding the event itself. Some argued the broadcasts were poorly marketed, while others pointed to the time slot as the real issue. But critics pushed back hard on those explanations, arguing that if the audience excitement had truly been there, viewers would have shown up regardless. In today's sports landscape, hype, viral energy, and fan obsession drive attention, and right now, Clark appears to own that spotlight almost entirely.
Caitlin Clark is really back, and so is that CC motion. Look, I know I've said before I don't want to talk about repeats, and this topic isn't really brand new, but it feels fresh in a sense because we finally saw Caitlin Clark back out on the basketball.
Caitlin Clark is officially back, and so is the non-stop CC frenzy surrounding her every move. Even though the conversation around Clark dominating headlines is not exactly new anymore, it suddenly feels fresh again because fans finally got to see her return to the basketball court. Her exhibition game alone reportedly drew around 1.3 million viewers, creating yet another massive television moment for the Indiana Fever and proving once again how enormous her audience has become. The contrast with Angel Reese only fueled more online discussion, with critics joking that Reese's ratings were being outperformed by everything from curling matches to a potato rolling down a hill. What makes the comparison so dramatic is the difference in public energy around the two stars. Reese and her team have built a larger-than-life media image around confidence, style, and celebrity presence, with Reese entering arenas like she is walking into the Met Gala. But critics argue that when the cameras actually turn on, the excitement around her games has not matched the branding. Meanwhile, Clark has become something much bigger than a basketball player in the public eye. She feels like a full cultural event. Whether she is playing a game, appearing in an ad, or simply showing up for practice, attention follows her everywhere. The Fever are not just generating ratings, they are creating moments that dominate sports conversations nationwide. Supporters see Clark as the face of a growing movement in women's basketball, while detractors claim Reese expected that same level of fame and influence to arrive automatically without building the same connection with viewers first.
Here, the Fever Brazil game came to 1.3 million viewers. 1.3 million viewers to an exhibition game, not even a preseason game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. They came to an exhibition game. They came to watch an exhibition game. That was a 60-point game, and Caitlin Clark checked out at the end of the third quarter. And it averaged 1.3 million viewers, which is absolutely crazy.
Finals. I'm not saying this to crap on anything else because I think the WNBA final numbers were very good last year and they got better as they went along. It's just more about how impressive it is that a preseason game in any sport, right? Forget Caitlin Clark for a second. Forget any of those things. That a preseason game in any sport could outrate any game of the finals championship series. And the context on the NBA preseason games, the last NBA preseason games to do so, both to outrate that game, both involved LeBron James, and one was his first game with the Lakers. The other one, the one in 2017 there, as you can see from this Rebecca Lobo tweet, barely outrated this. And there's the graphic from ESPN as they share it. Average of 1.3 million viewers, a peak of 1.6 million viewers. That's up 13% from the regular season last year.
And then came the backlash and the excuses. According to critics, Angel Reese did not respond to the disappointing attention surrounding her games with quiet reflection or a humble reset. Instead, the narrative quickly shifted into blame mode, with supporters pointing at everything from scheduling issues and weak promotion to broadcasters, bad timing, and outside circumstances rather than questioning the actual level of fan excitement around the product itself. Critics argued that if an athlete builds their entire image around hype, confidence, and superstar energy, then empty seats and weak ratings eventually become impossible to ignore. The frustration for many observers was not just the disappointing numbers, it was the response afterward. Instead of treating the criticism as motivation to improve, reset, and rebuild momentum, Reese was portrayed as doubling down and turning every negative reaction into proof that the world was somehow against her. Critics claimed that once someone starts confusing attention with genuine admiration,
you, Angel Reese, and all of those bums can't dish up a couple dollars to watch Angel Reese play, and it's pathetic because Angel Reese had a damn good game. Damn good game. Showed off her new Reebok shoes, looking pretty good. Picked up right where she left off, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 for 7. The double-double. The double-double is back. The double-double is back. Angel Reese is back. Chicago Sky is back. Tyler Marsh. The ball movement in the Chicago Sky, night and day compared to last year. There's no pound from Courtney. From Vandersloot to Nurse to Reese to Cardoso to Atkins. It's to Onyenwere to Williams. The ball was moving. The ball wasn't sticking in one place. Chicago Sky looked pretty good. I'm not going to.
Before she even stepped onto the court, Angel Reese was already surrounded by heavy promotion from her camp. The build-up included dramatic press photos, teaser-style social media posts, and bold narratives comparing her rise to some of the biggest names in basketball. In the eyes of supporters and media hype alike, she was being positioned as a generational moment before she had even fully started playing in the preseason spotlight. However, critics argue that the actual outcome of the event did not match the level of anticipation. The viewership numbers were described as surprisingly low, even being compared sarcastically to typical YouTube unboxing videos rather than a major televised sporting event. Some exaggerated commentary online even suggested it attracted fewer viewers than casual streaming content or reruns of popular shows, highlighting the gap between expectation and reality. There were also jokes about accidental viewers stumbling into the broadcast thinking it was something else entirely, only to find a low-energy preseason game instead of a major entertainment spectacle. In that framing, the disconnect between the hype and the final turnout became the central talking point, rather than the game itself.
LSU did not show her any love, and now her own city doesn't. Her own city in her own building doesn't show her love. I have said it time and time again. Preseason games don't mean dick. I don't care about them. But you want to know why people talk about it so damn much? People talk about it because y'all constantly want to remind everybody that folks are watching her games too. She is the one that said, people are watching the game because of me too. Well, that's not wholly accurate. It's just not accurate.
Caitlin Clark is portrayed here as effortlessly making history, as if it comes naturally, without needing to announce herself. The idea is that she doesn't have to claim she is the moment. Instead, her performances and presence make that clear, with fans showing up because of her impact rather than marketing slogans. In this framing, games involving the Indiana Fever are described as high-energy, almost festival-like events where attention and excitement constantly follow her. By contrast, the narrative compares other matchups, including those involving Angel Reese, in a far less flattering way, suggesting a quieter atmosphere and less fan engagement. It argues that comparisons between the two players only exist because of the expectations and rival narrative built around them in the media and public discussion. In this viewpoint, The ongoing storyline has turned into a one-person spotlight, with Clark positioned as the central attraction while others are framed as secondary. However, critics would say this interpretation reflects hype and storytelling more than the full reality of team sports, where context, development, and broader league dynamics all play a role beyond simple comparisons.
Caitlin Clark is really back, and so is that CC motion. Look, I know I've said before I don't want to talk about repeats, and this topic isn't really brand new, but it feels fresh in a sense because we finally saw Caitlin Clark back out on the basketball floor, and we all had our reactions. I mean, she had that iconic moment, really, in a sense, for an exhibition, for a preseason moment, a legendary.
I apologize. In today's sports landscape, some argue that reality and perception are the real competitors, and that only actual performance backed by numbers and measurable impact can define lasting success. From this perspective, social media hype, whether through Instagram moments or TikTok-driven attention, can create a strong temporary spotlight, but it fades quickly if it is not supported by consistent on-court results. Critics also suggest that modern sports marketing often builds anticipation that may not always translate into sustained audience engagement, comparing it to heavily promoted entertainment that struggles to meet expectations once it is released. In that narrative, the pressure on athletes becomes intense because big personalities and strong branding bring even higher expectations. When the results do not match the build-up, the gap between hype and performance becomes part of the public conversation. Every highlight and mistake gets amplified in the digital era, turning games into constant viral content cycles where narratives form quickly and are difficult to escape. Supporters of this view argue that long-term credibility in sports ultimately depends on sustained performance and audience proof, not just online visibility or trending moments.
I've seen all kinds of comments in my live. I've seen comments on my videos from Angel Reese fans. And hey, you know what? I appreciate y'all comments. But I'm sure I'm going to hear all kinds of comments now, and I'm fine with it. Bring them on. Defend your stance. Defend what you stand on. Because they could not give tickets away to the Chicago Sky Minnesota Lynx game yesterday. Couldn't give them away. People didn't watch her game versus Brazil. LSU fans didn't show up for her, and I got 1,000 reasons about baseball. But let's talk about it real fast. Welcome back, everyone.
Caitlin Clark has become one of the most visible figures in basketball, drawing large crowds, major media attention, and turning games into headline events that extend far beyond the court. In this view, her appeal is rooted in straightforward performance, producing results, filling arenas, and generating consistent interest without relying heavily on external narratives or controversy. Supporters argue that this kind of impact demonstrates how modern sports success is often measured not just by skill, but by sustained audience engagement and measurable presence. At the same time, the broader discussion around players like Angel Reese reflects how branding, social media identity, and athletic performance increasingly overlap in professional sports. Critics of this trend suggest that hype alone cannot replace on-court consistency, while others argue that media attention and personality are now part of the modern game's ecosystem. Ultimately, the contrast highlights a larger reality in sports today. Success is no longer defined by performance alone, but by how that performance is perceived, shared, and sustained in a fast-moving digital landscape.